Hello,
Good morning, Ian.
back at it.
Happy Monday. How are we doing?
Good. Ready to take on the week. Lots to do.
Yeah, you were pulling back there for a second. You got back from vacation and you were like, "Oh shoot, I've committed to too much." And
Right.
then do you feel like you're all stabilized? Did you pick any of that stuff back up, or are you
I
glad you cut
did.
some?
I picked up one thing back up with the help of Dave and the team here, just to Dave and Matt, actually, two of my
Mm-hmm.
employees. I put one of the things that I had canceled back on the table because I was a little rash in it when I went totally scorched earth. So, but besides that, yeah, no, everything else I rejiggled. I'm pretty happy with, and really focused on the kind of big project we're getting going on, which we'll talk about here in the future, I think.
Is this
But
the big? Is this the big secret project?
yeah, I don't know if it's even like a secret, but I haven't really talked about it publicly too much, so we can start to get into it, but not yet because I've dubbed this the week of Aaron.
Okay. Wow. I like the sound of that already. This is
Week of
good. We should do this
Aaron.
more often.
You have so much going on this week. We're not An hour is not even going to be enough time, so we got to jump in.
All right.
Give us your launch. Let's start with the launch.
Let's jump in. This week is the launch of screencasting.com. God willing, this is the week that we launch. So the plan is to launch on Wednesday, which would be if 18, 19, 20. Wednesday the 20th is launch day. And I am working furiously to get everything buttoned up and finalized so that we can do that.
Yes.
It's a lot of work, man. Getting everything ready for a launch is just
So much work.
so much work. So many things to like button up at the very end. And I'm trying to do it right this time. Like I'm trying to do like an email sequence that,
Yep.
drips out over a few days to get people excited. I'm trying to get affiliates to sign up to help. I'm trying to do all of the stuff that you're supposed to
Yeah.
do with launching. I'm trying to do it all right. It's hard. Now I know why launches end up being half-assed, which is kind of a shame because you put in all the work to do the thing and then you reach the finish line and you're like, I'm just gonna stop here.
I know. That's a huge yeah, leaving all that stuff to the end is so hard. That's a big advantage of startups and even small companies and things. If you could have somebody else working on that stuff or even having a co-founder in your endeavors, it's like, well, if one person could actually have been working on marketing, for
Hmm.
the last 3 months, then that's a whole different thing. But yeah, you get to the end, like in your case, you do all the recording, you do all the stuff,
Yep.
and then there's still all this other work to do. Not the most.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've got Jason Beggs helping me on all the technical
That's
side,
great. Yeah.
which is amazing. But I still have to do a lot of like the not only the content but the marketing stuff as well. But if I had to do the technical side too, there's just I wouldn't make it. It just
Can we
wouldn't work.
can we have a Jason Beggs sidebar? Because I feel
Yeah.
like he's everybody's right hand man. Like every time I'm
He
like, who are you doing who's doing this for you? And everybody's always like, Jason Beggs is working on it. I'm like, this guy is like 10 of them. He's everywhere.
there yes, he also has a twin, and so that's how he does it. But here's the deal. Here's the deal about Jason.
Mm,
You know those people that are like, if they tell you they're gonna do something, they just do it and then they bring it back and it's good and it's
love
done.
those people. That's the best
Love
people.
those people.
Very hard to
That's
find those people.
very hard to
Yeah.
find. Jason is that person. He'll just be like, well, I knocked this out for you. Here it is. Here's the repo.
Right.
You're like, wait, you already did it. You didn't have like an emotional hang up about, oh, how should I do this thing? How am I gonna?
Right.
You just did it and it's done. So yeah, I feel like Jason is the secret behind a lot of people in the Laravel community.
He is. He's a secret weapon.
It's amazing. So nobody reach out to him because I don't want y'all to steal him from me. But if you do need, I think his main thing, besides like keeping me on track, his main thing is taking Figma or other designs and converting it into like proper good Tailwind HTML, or he
Mm,
uses a bunch of the front end frameworks as well. But
right.
um, so design to tailwind.com is his thing. But yeah, he's just like a no nonsense, quiet worker. And that's kind of what I need. It's so awesome.
That's such a secret to a great consultant too, because I feel like I started out being a consultant in the super way back. It lasted like two minutes, literally, and didn't work because I can't do that. Like I can't just be like, okay, I got this design or whatever it is. I'm just gonna plow through it, get it done, straight line to the finish line. Like I'm always
Yep.
like, well, should we do this different? What about this
Yes,
thing?
totally.
Maybe it should be this other thing. Like what about this? And like I
Maybe
just
if we
get
fundamentally
sidetracked.
rethought your business, this design would change. Yeah.
And just being like, no, I had this thing. I'm just gonna build it, and then it'll be done. Instead of just taking months of being, down a side path of thought.
Yes.
Just getting it done is such a valuable element to a great consultant. So
Yes, he's got a real Protestant work ethic. He just
there we go.
freaking works. It's like,
Right.
this is awesome. Meanwhile, I'm like, I should re-record every single video.
Right.
And he's just over there. Okay, the thing I was supposed to do, that part's done. Now it's on you, man.
What are you using for this? Is another eternal battle I have. What are you using for your? It sounds like you're setting up an affiliate program. Like, what are you using for that?
Yeah, we're using Lemon Squeezy for that.
Oh, just
So,
the baked in one. Okay.
yeah, we're doing we went all in on the Lemon Squeezy platform. Because the checkout is super, super nice. It does handle the sales tax, which, if you're the
Nice.
government, I really care about. But
Right.
if you're not the government, I just don't care about sales tax that much.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, come after me. Like
It's a big
if I
pain.
didn't pay my sales tax in Quebec, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
So
especially overseas. I'm totally like, come get me
yeah,
overseas. Like,
come
whatever.
get me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
That's
This
my
is not
philosophy.
advice. This is maybe why I'm not a CPA anymore. This
Yeah.
this is
To
pretty
an
bad
accounting
advice,
major and an
honestly.
actual CPA. Our advice is let them come get you.
Our
if they want their
advice is
taxes.
F the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Lemon Squeezy does handle all that sales tax, which
Yeah,
that's great. Good for them.
Right.
But I
it's
just
worth the
really,
1%
really
or
like.
whatever.
Yeah, I like the built-in checkout, and I know that Stripe has some of that, but the built-in checkout with the affiliate management is super nice. And I'm really
Yeah.
hoping that long-term affiliates are a good channel for this. And so I wanted to have something kind of native and first-party built in. I didn't want to worry about payouts or registration or
Right.
tracking clicks or
Yeah,
anything
that's
like
the worst
that.
part with all that stuff is like, oh, setting up PayPal. Like right there, you have a disaster
Yep.
on your hands. Like, let's figure out how to PayPal works, and that
Yep.
never works, and whatever, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
interesting. Lemon squeezy. All right. I like
Yeah,
it.
so
New
Jason's built out a basic Livewire site that handles all of the registration and the feature gate or the video gating based on what tier that you signed up for. It's really nice because I think we're using Caleb Porzio's Sushi for a lot of it. Which is we do have a database, but for a lot of like the content heavy stuff, it's just
Yep.
front matter in YAML, which is so nice because then I can put the entire video description as I can do it as markdown, and then just have like, here's the link to the Vimeo ID, and here's the plan that it's on, and here's the slug, all in
Right,
that
just
one
all
file.
in text
It's great.
and not dealing with updating the database with changes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nice to just update the repo and it's magically
Exactly.
everywhere.
And Jason can just, push it, and he doesn't need to have access to the database. He can just change stuff, and because it's a flat file. Maybe we're using Orbit. We might be using Caleb's Sushi for some things and Ryan Chandler's Orbit for other things. Man,
I'm not familiar with Orbit.
I'm not the technical guy anymore. What?
You don't
I'm
know what's
having
going
like
on. Who knows?
I have an
You're
identity
CEO.
crisis. Yeah.
You have no idea what's
Like,
going on.
I don't know what we're using.
You're
It's so
up here,
embarrassing.
big picture.
That's
You don't
so
know what's going on. You
embarrassing.
said,
I've
"Go
never
forth
been here
and
before.
Make this happen. And things
Oh
happen.
no.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, what a bad feeling. We'll need to edit that out so I sound like I'm definitely the technical guy. Oh man. Yeah, the Orbit package is great because I think
Is that similar to sushi or
it is
something?
similar to Sushi. It has more drivers, which I don't super care about, except for the Markdown driver that you can use, front matter. And so Orbit, I think, has got like a JSON and maybe an API, but it definitely has a Markdown driver, and so
Okay.
I think that's what we're using there. I think some of the other models may be Sushi, but that one is Orbit specifically.
I've never used sushi, even though like I need to. I think in this thing I'm working on, we'll probably end up using it in a few spots. But it does seem I just love the idea of things becoming eloquent models magically. Like that's
Yep.
great. concept.
I use Sushi for my personal site. So my personal site is deployed on Vapor. It's just a Laravel app
Right. That
deployed
Jason
on
Beggs built.
Vapor. Heads up, Jason Beggs did do the rebuild
Right.
of it. It's not launched
Jason
yet.
Beggs is
So
everywhere. It's just, you could just pencil him in, just assume.
this is supposed to be the week of Aaron, not the week of Ian outing Aaron for having Jason do all the work.
You mentioned that one previously though, so that's on you.
Okay,
The previous
all
episode.
right. Okay, blame lies squarely
That's
with
how
me.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, that one uses Sushi. That was Sushi pre Jason Beggs, so I'm gonna take full credit for that.
Okay,
That one uses Sushi for the article listing and all of that stuff. That one actually has no database at all. It's just flat files on Vapor, which is really, really nice. And it could be, I guess, a static site, but why? It cost me like 4 cents to run on Vapor, and now I don't have to convert it to a static site, and I get full Laravel. So.
Yep.
Yeah, Sushi's very good. I like Sushi.
Awesome. So screencasting.com. So launch, it's on schedule. It's happening.
It's on schedule. It's happening. Wednesday. Yeah, when you get to the end of a project, it feels like, man, is this thing any good? Like, I've been staring at this thing for months. Is this any good? That happens to me a lot. I've been, putting the final touches, the final editing pass on these videos. And as I'm watching them back, I'm like, these are actually good. This is good. I feel very proud.
I love that feeling.
Yes, thank goodness. I feel very proud of this body of work, and I think, hey, this is going to be useful. This is going to be helpful to a lot of people. And yeah, it goes through the whole life cycle from how do you even figure out what you're going to teach, like content planning and structuring, and how to structure it so that people will, follow along. And then into the gear, and then recording and editing, and then publishing. And then there are a couple extra sections at the end on all right, if you're going to take these videos and put them on social media platforms, what should you think about when you put them on Twitter? What should you think about when you put them on YouTube? And then the last section is a fun one. It's just people have sent me their screencasts, and I just do the teardowns, and those are.
I love that.
I've sent a few of those out over email, and people seem to really like those. Those are fun. So, yeah, we're ready, man.
I mean, it's such a. I've given out the URL a few times already. It's not even out yet, so I feel like it's totally the type of thing. People are out there. They have questions, and it's also the kind of thing where it's like, even if you know some of it, just feel like it's still going to be very valuable, because it's like, well, these other couple parts I don't know or aren't good at or whatever. It's like, it's worth it, the money, just for that, because if it saves me days of trolling around YouTube videos and all that stuff, trying to figure out what the heck to do and trial and error and all that, it's like, yeah, it's worth. What is it, like 149? Or I don't know if you've announced the price, but
I have actually not announced the price. It's $249 or $299, depending on which one you get.
Yeah, so
and if you're on the mailing list, there will be a discount. So go to screencasting.com right now.
Get on there.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think one of the things I've really focused on in this is there are so many options of how to do every single step.
Right.
And at most places, I try to tell you hey, there are a lot of options here. Here is what I think, and here is why I think it. And you are totally free to disagree, but I'm going to give you a system, and I'm going to give you a process, and you can just follow it. And once you get more used to it, you can deviate and make your own style. But for now, just do this, and it'll look great.
I think that is such a huge thing that people don't realize, that other people just want guidance. I was talking to an open source dev who has a big open source project about their docs, and this was the advice I gave, because the docs are you could do this or you could do this. It's you could put this code anywhere, is basically what it said, right? But people yes, you could put it anywhere, but the thing is, just tell me where to put it. Just tell me what is the right place in your mind for this project, in terms of this, the open source project, where this should go. And then, yes, you could also have in there that, like, by the way, you could actually put this anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, but like, this is the recommended way to do it. And then that at least gives everybody a starting point. If you have some special case, obviously you can riff on that or try other things, but like, give me the main line. This is how I think you should do it. And like, just like you're saying with what you're doing, it's like, yeah, just like, I'm trying to make this video.
Yes.
Let me get a video made. And so if you
Yes.
just tell me this is your opinion, you've done this a lot, this is probably what you need, then I can start there. And then if it doesn't work for me because I'm doing something different or weird, I can then riff on that. But yeah, just give me the start. Don't overwhelm me with, well, there's 17 ways you could do this, and let's go through each of them. It's like, no, just give me the recommended.
And that's such a trap for the person creating the content,
Right.
because they know, one is like, they know all of the nuances and all of the, the places where something may or may not apply or work. But I also sometimes feel like I'm, especially when writing documentation, which these videos kind of are, so like doing these videos as well, I feel like I'm like writing defensively sometimes. Like I'm trying to protect myself from the people that read or watch these videos and are like, well, actually, you should in this case. And I'm like, oh, I should just mention that so they don't get me on that point.
Right.
And it's just such a disservice. Like, I just have to be okay, I think, with some people saying, hey, you don't always, you shouldn't always do it this way. And I'm like, yeah. You're right. That's great. I agree.
Right.
So yeah, there's a little
clarity
bit
is
of defensive.
valuable.
Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to do, and I'm just really, it's a good feeling. I'm just very, very pleased with it. I'm happy to look on it and say, yeah, this is ready.
Yeah. It looks great. I mean, the website looks great. All the, like, going through just like the topics covered. I mean, it's quite comprehensive. You see people launch content-oriented things with way less comprehensive table of contents than this. So, like, the money, you're getting your value there if you buy this. There's going to be something for everybody in there. If you're doing any kind of video at all on the internet, I feel like this is no-brainer. Even for like things that aren't purely screencasting, just even like other kinds of videos and stuff, like there's enough topics in there to pull out, best practices and information out of it. So it's going to be really useful.
Yeah, I hope so. I think this could be a good long-term durable asset in, the Aaron Francis content empire that is just beginning. So
what's the future plan? Would there be additions to this or add-ons or side thing? Like, I don't know. Do you have any plans for that yet, or thoughts around that?
So many plans, so many hopes and dreams. So the tiers are, like I said, $249, $299. There is a $1,000 tier, but that's just consulting. It's like you get the full course and then you get an hour with me. And so that's interesting, I think, for a couple of reasons. One is price anchoring.
Right.
$1,000 is 4 digits. It's a huge number. So that makes the pricing table look lopsided on the low direction, which is nice. It's also interesting for me to test the waters with the consulting on this, because I could see a future where companies are like, hey, we're spinning up a content team or a developer education team or something like that, and they want not necessarily consulting on the technical aspects of it, but more consulting on like the theoretical aspects of how do we make this content work, not how do we do it, but like how do we do this as a business? And I think that might be interesting. And so that tier is there to kind of see, like, does anybody care about this? And then I've got lots of plans in terms of broadening the site's content. So we're going to do the creator spotlights, where, like Mateus has already done one where he does a video of his whole setup and talks about his setup and that kind of stuff. I think that's good long-term, like, interesting and SEOable content. Right. I also think there's an opportunity here for like an old school community. Not like, hey, let's get on Discord and send emojis all day, every day. I sound like such an old man, but I do not like Discord.
I've kind of warmed up to it a little bit, I have to say. But
Oh,
yes,
Ian,
I
we're having the
know
great flippening.
we
You're becoming
are.
young and I'm becoming old.
It's amazing.
Jeez. Okay, I don't have time for you to talk to me about
We'll have to
Discord. I can't
yeah, we'll have
handle
to get
yeah,
the
I can't
side
handle
quest.
that right now. I'm
Okay.
too fragile in this state. But I think there's an opportunity for like let's say content creators, maybe specifically screencasters or people who do video.
Mm,
There's an opportunity for them, for us to all hang out. And whether that's like an actual traditional forum, which would be
mm. Like
awesome.
discourse or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Or it could possibly, honestly, it could be a Discord that's probably great for that. But
Or Slack channel, kind
I
of
think Slack
middle
would be nice.
ground, a little
Yeah,
more businessy.
something for the millennial boomers, a little Slack. But yeah, I think that's a good opportunity because it is hard work, and I think having other people that you can talk to be like, hey, how do y'all do this? How do
Yeah.
you do this? What happens when you just recorded a whole video with no sound? Can we just all cry together? And so
Right.
I think having that kind of space would be good, and I could be like the hub for that, which I think would be interesting long term.
Right. I feel like there's we don't have to get too far into this, but I do feel like there's like almost a product that needs to be built for that. There's probably some out there already trying to do that, but like where it is that like there's a hub of a person and there's a community around it. Obviously, everybody just uses Discord kind of at this point with the second place Slack sort of thing,
Yeah.
but
I think
they do have there is downsides to those, I think.
I think Circle is maybe one.
Okay.
I'm not
Mention
sure. I think once you enter into this like community management world, there's a lot of
Right.
stuff that
Out there.
we never touch, you and
Yeah.
I. And so I would have to ask some people who do like proper community management,
Right.
which is it's an entire career and something
Sure.
that I'm just like, yeah, we'll set up a Discord. I don't know, man.
There is, I mean, yeah, that is the nice thing about when you use a Discord or Slack is that people are already in there, so they're more likely
Right.
to just pop over. Whereas, of course, if you're just like, well, I have my own separate place all the way over here, it has to be really compelling, I think,
Right.
to kind of
'Cause
build
you
up
have to
that.
think about it.
Right, you have to like go over there, which
Yeah.
people are already going a lot of places. But oh, wait, so business thing here. So what about a team plan? No team plan? I feel like I need a team plan. What if I'm
There
that
is
company? Okay,
There's a
I want to
contact
buy
us.
5 of them, or
Yes,
okay,
yes. There's a contact us, and I think specifically for I think that is hopefully going to work for startups or tech companies that are like, yeah, we actually have 5 people on our
Right.
education team. Or honestly, if Jeffrey Way was like, hey, if you're gonna do a Laracasts course, you have to watch this course first. That would be awesome. So every
right.
new like creator that comes onto the Laracast platform, they would
Yeah.
watch this, and
Right.
Jeffrey would pay me for that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, I
Yeah.
think would be just amazing. So I don't know if we'll get any uptake on that, but below the 3 tiers is a like, hey, want to pay us more money? No, it says,
Right.
have teams contact us. So we'll see
Perfect.
if
Right.
that works out.
Yeah, I would think you'd get some action there. I mean, not as much as, of course, the mainline stuff, but yeah, if you can get even like, I mean, I think there's other worlds too for this stuff that you might not think about, like corporate trainers, people like that. Like, if you can get into those worlds, like,
I know.
whatever, GE probably has 15 corporate trainers, right? So
Yep.
you have all those kind of things out there that kind of our circle of the internet doesn't think a lot about generally, although I actually do think a lot about it because most of my products mostly sold to those type of people,
Yeah,
not
true.
to Twitter type people. And there's an amazing number of departments in companies out in the world. So
Yeah, I had to be real careful. When I was recording the content to not just specifically talk to Laravel developers.
right.
Because my temptation was, and I actually recorded several videos this way, where I was assuming that everyone I was talking to was a developer. And so I was
Right.
saying things that wouldn't have made sense to other people. Like repo and
shorthand
commit
stuff,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And people are going to be like, what are you talking about?
the
And
hell is
every
this guy talking about? Yeah.
example I used was like, well, maybe you're teaching Rails developers. And it's like,
Right.
nobody's going to know what that means. And
Right.
so honestly, I trashed a bunch of videos
That's
and went back and was like,
tough call.
it was brutal.
Right.
I realized like I'd been thinking pretty narrowly about who the consumer could be. And I realized, wait, the creator economy alone is it is like vastly larger than our friends on Twitter. And that's just the
I think
creator
so.
economy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Hmm.
That's just, and then you've got corporate training, like you said. You've got, in-house people at AWS who are making
Right.
videos for the public, but they're not
Hmm.
creator economy or whatever.
Yep.
And so I went back and I redid it all with a focus towards, um instead of saying like you're a developer and you're trying to, I said you're a creator. And
Yep.
so my examples changed from solely code related examples to like, okay, so maybe I would talk about the person teaching is the subject matter expert. And I was like, maybe the
Right.
area of expertise for you is you're really good at Microsoft Excel and you're teaching it to attorneys because they don't know anything about Microsoft Excel.
Right.
And so
Yep.
some of the examples got broader to be so that people
Right.
could
That's so
see
smart.
themselves in the content. So
Yep.
I really hope that pays off. If I could get into some niches that are like more, what Nathan Barry has targeted with
Yep.
ConvertKit, where it's just like everyone in the world apparently has their own little content business. If I could
Right.
reach some of them, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, well, two different things there. One is like definitely getting in with Nathan and ConvertKit and what they're doing, talking at the conference, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Uh, Happy to, I mean, I know Nathan. I'm an investor in ConvertKit, so if you need a hookup there, I
Well,
don't know if you
well,
know Nathan,
well.
but happy to make intros.
The week of Aaron, indeed. I'd love to
There
hear
we go.
that.
So happy to get you in over there if I can help. But also, and so yeah, and he's like super creator. They have such a
Totally.
beautiful creator audience.
Mm-hmm.
Screencasting.com, perfect fit for that. But then also, this is like a founder thing I think is super important. I've actually been having this with my big project, which is like I kind of started this like almost a year ago. And like I've just been exploring, learning React and all these explorations and start something and then trash it and then start at a different path and then trash that. And then now I think I'm on the right path with it. But it's like, it's hard because you're trying to get stuff out. But at the same time, if you know it's not right, then
Yes.
it's also the time to say, nope, that was the wrong path. And we're just going to start again if we have to, or partially start again, or whatever we have to
Yep.
do here to get on the right path. Because once you're all the way down the path, then it's too late. Then you're like, you are stuck with the thing you have.
Yep.
And like, yeah, in your case, if it was like all talking about Laravel stuff all the time or dev stuff, then there's definitely going to be an audience where whatever people buy it and they see it and that person bought it, but maybe they don't recommend it because they're like,
Right.
well, I can't really send this to my colleagues because I don't even understand what's going on. So I'm not going to recommend this, or it just was hard to use because I was confused at different points and things like
Yep.
that. Uh, and this is yeah, it's not at all a dev oriented product
No.
specifically. I mean, that'll certainly be your biggest customer base, I'm sure, in the beginning here, but
Yeah.
you could definitely see where this can go out to the wider world and be useful in all kinds of scenarios. So definitely a smart move, I think, on your part to take that time, even though it's super painful
Super
to start
painful.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, so painful because like I was looking at the videos and thinking, oh, I really need to finish this course. And I was like, why do I feel this emotional hang up of like getting to the end? And I realized
Yeah.
it's
You know
because
it's
I
not
know
right.
I know it's not right.
Yeah.
I know that I dorked up in like a
Right.
fundamental way, and that is like positioning.
Right.
And I have to redo this. And the moment I decided like, okay, I'm gonna redo this, the amount of work that was ahead of me was enormous, but I felt so much better.
Right. Yep.
I just felt
Exactly.
like this, okay, I feel
Yep.
good. Like we can
Right.
do this. I'm on the right path. All that is before me is a huge mountain of work, but there's no emotional resistance at
Right.
all because this is the right way forward. It's like,
That is
I can
exactly it.
work. I can
Right.
stay up late and work. What I can't do is be emotional about it. And so it's like, this is a
Right.
win. I'm happy now.
Yeah, pushing through when you know it's not right. It's like then you're just gonna
Ugh,
not finish it, or it's gonna take twice as long because you're just not feeling it, and you're
brutal.
like not gonna put in that effort. You're not gonna
Yep.
be thinking clearly about it when you are doing it, and all those things. Yeah, I mean yeah. When you're a founder, these are the things that are hard, that are a little different than like what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, hey, I got this thing. This is the spec. I'm going. I'm doing it.
Yep.
I'm not letting my emotions get in the way of this. Like we're just gonna complete it and then move on to the next thing. Like this is different than that. You have to listen to your gut. I feel like a fair amount of the time. Sometimes you have to tell your gut to shut up because it's leading you wrong too. But usually, if you're really in that, like you're describing there, where it's like every day you're like, ah, man, this is like feels hard.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
right. Like then, you just gotta listen and go with the gut there. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that is interesting about this is I think in some regards people will be buying this course and paying me money for my taste, right? There's some amount of like technical knowledge that I am imparting to them, but I think a lot of what I'm teaching here is like a point of view and taste. And so when I feel like the taste is bad, like the thing I'm doing is not quite right.
Right.
That's when I feel like, okay, I personally think I have good taste, and I think the thing I've made is bad. And so I have to trust that taste and say, nope, that's bad. I can make it better. I'm going to do that even if I have to work really hard.
Yep.
So hopefully it pays off.
I think so. I'm very optimistic about it. I think there's a lot of excitement I've seen out there for it. So I'm expecting it to definitely launch really well and then go from there and do the building out the network. The affiliates sounds good, and starting to get your name in other corners of the internet that aren't just home base for us. I think will be. And
I have a friend who's an investor in ConvertKit, and so I may talk to
Nathan
Barry. Yeah, I heard it's
Nathan's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nathan's amazing guy. I knew him before ConvertKit. Actually, we met in like bootstrappery circles. Okay,
yeah, I met him. He's a great guy. MicroConf 2012.
Wow, yeah.
And talked to him back then when he was doing like the authority and that kind of stuff. But I haven't spoken to him since. But he was super cool way back then too.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, and it's amazing to see what they've done. He's done with ConvertKit is unbelievable. So not an early enough investor. I was trying to get in way back then, like way when he first started. I was like, oh, let me like throw some money at you. And he's like, no, I'm not doing investors. And then he was going to do it, and then he didn't do it then. And then he did do it a couple of years ago, but I'm not, I'm not super wealthy from it yet, as I would have been if he had taken my money in the beginning. Come on, Nathan.
Not yet.
Next thing, take my money early.
They're not stopping. So you should. I think you should be okay. I know your big investments from Twitter is Cloudflare, but I think
Cloudflare,
ConvertKit is gonna work out okay for you.
Hey, MailChimp sold for what, 4 billion or something? I don't know. 10 billion? No, maybe it was more 10 billion.
I think it was a lot of billions, and they were totally bootstrapped, if I recall.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
Email.
I
mean, hey, my business is all email too.
Break. Email.
Email is the past, the present, and the future. Email.
It's unbelievable. I'm over here trying to be clever and invent brand new things, and other people are sending emails.
Just send the emails, receive the emails. This has been my life for the last 20 years. It's all email. Like there's other little parts of it, but the core, email's at the core.
Turtles all the way down.
Yep. And you're never going to replace email because like there's nobody's going to do an open standard for anything ever again, right? Like there's not even open messenger standard. There's no open standards. Email's the last open standard, and it's never going to be replaced.
And where are all the email killers now?
Right.
Dead.
You can't. Yeah. No. You can't kill email. It's like just provides an invaluable service, and there's never going to be enough community backing from all the different stakeholders to actually make something else go. So
we have 2 email providers in our community, right? Frake and Spotsy do Mail Coach, and then Marcel and the Beyond Code folks do.
Oh, I use that. Hello.
Synstack.
Oh, do they do
Synstack?
Oh, I didn't even know.
You know what I'm talking about?
God, they build so many things over there. I can't keep up with all the stuff Marcel builds.
I know.
He builds a new thing every week.
I know. They've got the desktop app, which I think is HELO.
Yeah, I don't know how they say it, but that's like the test, or like local development.
But they had like a privacy first email thing that they were working on for a while. But I haven't heard about it in a long time. So Marcel, if you're listening, do some more marketing for that because I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. But I said, I can't keep up. I saw them at Laracon and talked to them quite a bit, and like I don't even understand how you. I think there's only 3 of them.
There's only 3 of them. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
I'm like got one product in 20 years. They're like got new products every
week.
Well,
and the secret product, you've got that.
Yeah, but you'll see. It's kind of similar to the old product. It's email. I can't leave email. All right. So what else is going on here? So all right, we got a couple more things in the week, Aaron.
Okay.
I don't know which one. Do you want to go Flowtone? Do you want to go
Oh
Max Effort?
yeah. Let's go Flowtone, and then
All
we can drive into Max Effort from there.
right.
Flowtone is a desktop application that has recently been pre-launched by Boris and I. So we know Boris in the community. We love Boris.
Mm-hmm.
Boris wrote Advanced Inertia, that book on how to use inertia and Vue and Laravel all together.
Great book.
And great book. And Boris was working on some stuff and reached out to me and was like, hey, I've seen you talking about this like process where you take your videos and you normalize the audio and you clean it all up, and that's like become your video pipeline. And he actually reached out because he was like, I'm working on a video related product and wondered if you like want to partner up on it. I was like, yeah, that seems really hard. The secret project that he's working on. I was like, that seems really hard. Is there like an easier thing that you could build? What about this like audio cleanup normalization tool? And so he just, speaking of machines, he just did it. He just was like, yep, I'm going to build a desktop app. It's done. Now can you make the videos and do the marketing? And I was like, wait, how are you already done with this? So, yeah, he built everything. I
like that.
I'm the marketing guy, Ian.
You are the marketing guy.
What
You're the
is
guy with the
happening?
audience. You're building the
This
audience.
is weird. It's weird, man. It's weird.
It's hard. Building an audience way harder than building a product.
You know what? I think that might be correct. I think distribution is
all about the distribution.
pretty hard to come by. So, yeah, so we're partnering up on it, and I've written 0 lines of code for it. He wrote, everything. So there's like there's a desktop app, there's a Laravel server. So like you drop your audio onto the desktop app. It does a little bit at home, and then it sends it off to the server where we do the rest of it, and then it sends it back. And it's literally every video that I make has been running through it just to like clean up some of the background noise, boost my microphone volume a little bit, just make things a little more clear. And so, yeah, we pre-launched it, and I think it's gotten, I want to say like $500 of sales. And so pretty good. Yeah. And that also segues nicely into like the screencasting.com empire, you know?
Fits
so
in
now
there.
I can,
Nice.
now I can like kind of have these 2 funnels that weave in and out of each other, and like the whole ship was pointed the same direction, which I feel good about.
Is it a one-time? It's not one-time purchase, is it?
It's a one-time purchase for a certain amount. Like I think it's like 600 minutes or something, and then there will be like you can top up, but it's not a monthly subscription.
Gotcha. So you're buying minutes,
Usage
like you're buying
based.
resource. Yeah, usage
Yeah.
based. Okay. All right, I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
And
there are some notions that maybe in the future we could do like some of it in browser, but one of the benefits of doing it on a desktop now is if you drop, a 6 gigabyte video on it, we can do some of the audio splitting locally, and it just makes everything faster, cleaner, better. So yeah, the desktop app, the billing model, some of it's like, this is interesting. Let's try this. And we'll see what happens.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of resource usage based apps. I don't know. It's a little tricky. You can't just apply it to anything, but there is an interesting element to that for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the downsides of pure SaaS pricing would be like, let's take me, for example. I'm doing this course, but then I may not do this bulk of video for a long time. And if I were on a monthly plan, and do I go and like get the biggest monthly plan, run everything through it, and then the next month downgrade to like a standard plan? It's like, well, that's not good for me, the consumer, or for the business to be like, oh, our MRR went super up. Oh, it went super down because they finished the course. So I think usage based is interesting here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's then transition here to like something we talked about actually at Laracon, which is Aaron's max effort era. Give us the rundown on what this is and what you're doing.
Yeah, the rundown is basically I was watching all these people on Twitter be rich and retired and just talk about how important it was to like do yoga every day and
Sure.
you know, and I was like, why do I feel so bad about this? And I realized I'm in my builder phase. This is not the time. This is not the time where I walk to the coffee shop and spend a couple hours journaling. It's like
Right.
I would love to be in that phase. Truly, I would.
Right.
I'm just simply not.
Yeah.
And I think one of the disservices that social media does is you usually catch a person's story as like a slice. And so you may come in on someone's story when they're in their semi-retired phase and think, "Oh, I need to start behaving as if I am semi-retired
Right.
because that's what this successful person does, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And but you, me specifically, I'm not there yet. And so I'm viewing a slice of their story that is not collinear with my story, and I thought it would be really helpful actually if I could like frame or phrase this as something that clearly denotes where I am and where I'm not,
Right.
because then mentally I will know like I can look at these other people and think, yeah, that's great. They're in a different phase. I don't have
Right.
to emulate that phase. My phase is fundamentally different.
Yep.
And so that's when I decided like, okay, I'm going to say I'm not in my semi-retired leisurely builder phase, which is what a lot of
Right.
people are in. Semi-retired leisurely builder. Daniel Vassallo with the small bets community, semi-retired
Right.
leisurely builder. I'm not in that phase. I am in my maximum effort era, which hopefully will set me up for my semi-retired leisurely builder
Right.
era. And it's just there. I don't know that there's another way besides luck to get to that semi-retired phase without putting in a lot of effort. And one thing I'm super careful of is talking about how this is my phase for right now, for me. Like, I want to
Yep.
be very clear that this is a decision I have made for me, and it's not prescriptive, it's descriptive. So I'm not
Right.
saying everybody needs to do it, but I'm saying there are things I want out of my life. And I think the way to get there is you have to just work really hard. The only way out is through. And so right
Yep.
now I'm going through, and we'll see if I get out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in this. I mean, the thing with social media is like, you know, it's entirely designed right to surface outliers essentially.
That's a
And
good point.
so even though you may follow 20 of the leisurely semi-retired entrepreneurs, like that is like the tiniest fraction of the number of people who are out there starting businesses every year or who run businesses, right? It's millions and millions of people just in America alone who are running businesses and working very hard at them. And so yes, but you get thrown these like the 20 cool people on Twitter who are like, you know, journaling every day
Yep.
and all these things, right? Not to knock journaling, but you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah. So, and like you're like, oh man, like yeah, why haven't I made enough millions to be able to be that guy yet? And but it's also it's totally unrealistic. And I totally agree. You have to have the effort era is definitely a thing. I think you can go in and out of it, which is a thing too to be aware of. Is like I definitely had a super max effort era like when I started HelpSpot, and that was just not sustainable. So hired people and things like that, and then I definitely like pulled back from that.
Yeah.
And then for a long time, like 10 years, I would say, like I wasn't all the way to leisurely retired, but I also wasn't in maximum effort, I would say, either. And then it was just like solid effort, running the business, customers are happy. Okay, good. And then now I'm gearing up for max effort era, 3 or 4, whatever it's been, because it's been little ebbs and flows over time. Because it's like, all right, well, I got new stuff we're working on, and that needs more effort and attention and all those things. And also, like, my life is better suited to it now. Kids are older and things like that. So, I think you can go in and out of these phases, but I think to deny the phases, like, very big disservice is often done with people who are out there espousing 4-hour work week and all these other things that are excellent marketing. And yes, I'm sure there's like a handful of people where this is very successful for them and that's all great, but I don't think that's true of the vast majority of people who are very successful. I think most of them are working quite hard. And we're trying to work smartly too, not, you can't just always plow your way through everything, but they're taking time savings from working smartly and then working more on other things
Yes.
where they bring value, right? So if they can
Yes.
have employees, if they can outsource things, if they can do all those things, they're not necessarily taking that time they gain from that and then using that as leisure time. They're taking that time and saying, okay, now I can do more of the things that I bring unique value to, and then keep going with that. So yeah, I think that's a very the main strategy, really, even though on the internet you wouldn't always know it.
Yeah, and I think there's I think there's like a turn or a shift that happens to some people who are very public when they climb to the mountain and they climb to the top of the mountain and they get up there and it's beautiful and they turn around and say, "Y'all, it's hard work to climb. Y'all should really take it easy. Like that climb is tough and it wore me out and I think y'all should take it easy. But boy, it's beautiful up here." And you're like, "Wait. You can't have both." Like I understand getting to the top and being like, "Wow, what a freaking slog that was. I'm going to slow down a little bit." Yeah, that's the hope. But then to turn around and say, "Everyone else, slow down. I've made it." You're like, "Come on, man. That's not right."
Also feel there's often some combination of like just actually forgetting how hard it was.
Probably.
Right? And then also, I mean, I think in some people just dishonesty, whether it's intentional or unintentional, of like, this is a better story if I say that I just chilled on my way up to the top. That's a more interesting story because everybody kind of knows the, hey, work hard and you'll get to the top story. So what's my take on that? That's more interesting. But I think, and especially too, like you're in this zone where you have more kids on the way and things like that. So you're very specifically right now in a zone where you probably you'll have more time over the next few months than you will have over 12 months from now, most likely.
Correct.
So it's also taking advantage of these times when you do have extra time. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to put in those hours. I'm going to work late some nights. I'm going to do those things to try to get ahead while I can, because it'll be out of my hands maybe in 8 months or 12 months or whatever, where it'll be very hard to work till 2:00 or whatever on a Friday.
That ain't gonna work because I'm gonna be up till 2:00 feeding
you'll be
babies.
Up, but you'll be up, but you won't be able to screencast, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
So getting these things done and launched and out there, and then being able to maybe run it. I doubt you're going to be all the way out of max effort era even then, but will you be able to maybe dial it down to solid effort era for a little bit?
Think so. I think there will be a phase change when new babies come that is just like, all right, still maximum effort, but towards these two new humans that have just been born, and everything else kind of goes into maintenance mode, or maintaining what is already hopefully gaining steam. I can just give it a little bit of push every now and then.
Right.
But yeah, I think there are definitely phases, and naming it an era, I think, is
that's really
a good thing, because it's like you can have a different era for a while. And I don't know what epochs are. I don't know if epochs are bigger than eras, but maybe there's like an overarching epoch with individual eras. I don't know much about deep history.
I'm going to tell you, in 2023, to name something era, that's the way to go. It's yet another overlap between you and Taylor Swift.
She are the same
Eras
person.
Tour.
Yes,
you have the Max Effort era. I feel like this is the energy in the air. The era is the spot on what right.
That's what I'm trying to say. We are literally the same person with one minor difference, and that's $1 billion.
It's $1 billion. What's that between friends? No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. That's the week. The week of Aaron.
Week of Aaron.
Do you want to talk about, we have a couple other things we could talk about. One is, I don't know if you follow Josh Pigford on Twitter, but he's doing a new business kind of technical thing, as always.
I saw that.
And I think that would be interesting to talk about.
That's a lot of new businesses.
If you have seen this. Do you want me to give you the high level on this one for the listener? Okay.
Sure.
So Josh Pigford, famously of Baremetrics, which then exited, is a serial maker. He's always starting something. You think I have a lot of projects? This guy has like 10 times as many projects as I have. And I thought this one was really interesting because he just kind of like dropped it on Twitter and was like, hey, it's kind of done. And typically what he'll do is he'll say, I've got this new idea, I'm going to do it. And then he'll work on something for a while and then it kind of fades off and I don't hear about it anymore. This one was totally, totally different where it was like, the thing is done. So he has a tweet and we'll put it in the show notes. He says, I recently purchased a small web app, interesting already, called lawncareplanner.com. Great domain. Have spent the last few days rebuilding it from scratch, so I figured I'd talk through the details. So he goes through the details. He bought this site for like nothing. It was like $2,000 or $1,800 or something. And the way that he did it was he was actually searching for lawn care plan for his house and came across this site and was like, hey, this is kind of what I need. And saw that it hadn't been updated in a long time, reached out to the guy, and the guy was like, yeah, used to make $1,000 a year, and now it makes like $250 a year. And so he just went back and forth with him and bought the thing outright.
Yep.
And so he says he's got 6,000 registered users. Who knows how old, those emails are. And a full like infrastructure of Python and Django to like build out this site, because it's a lot of like programmatic SEO. It's like lawn care plan Dallas, Texas, and so there's a whole database that backs it. And so he, spent a couple days, rewrote it in Rails, added some stuff, and now it's just like out there and running. And he's got a whole plan of how he's going to grow it, but he's using some AI to write some content. And I thought this was really interesting because I do feel like I am arcing towards my content era as well. Instead of pushing super hard on a SaaS boulder, I feel like, wait, this content stuff I feel a knack for, and I feel like this is good, durable assets that could last forever. And so this was interesting to me to see him doing this. I don't know what the back end is going to be in terms of like, is it just an Amazon affiliate thing or what's going on there? But that's the overview, and I really think it's interesting, but I'd be curious your take on it.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I agree. Like when I saw that he had had finished it, and I was like, oh yeah, he finished one. All right, like
yeah,
it's
I
like
know.
he did
it's
it.
Awesome.
And then, there's kind of two thoughts I had. One is that it seemed like a reasonable idea. I mean, I feel like it's very unlikely he's not going to make, well
the
over his money
$1,800 back.
He's
Yeah.
going to make the $1,800 back, right? And just doing the mass SEO stuff, which is not, Google somewhat frowns upon it, but at the same time, like you're in for $1,800, so who cares? And like if it does anything, instead of just relying on the homepage to have, I think you said it has 3 million pages or something like that now. So, you're usually supposed to like roll those out more slowly and stuff than versus just dump it all out there. But whatever. And in his case, it is a little bit different because it is like zip codes and things like that. So there is like, there's like a reason to have that many that makes some kind of sense. So that is to his benefit, I think.
And presumably the domain is pretty aged, so he's not popping up a new domain and dumping 3 million pages out there.
It's it's number 6 on when you just search like lawn care planning or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, this is like, I think this is a very interesting idea. So here's the thing that people, again, in our circles of Twitter are probably not aware of. Like, this is totally a thing lots of people do. Like, this is just a whole industry of, like, going out and buying domains, domains that have expired, and you're just buying the domain because you see it's a domain that's ranked well, and the person just let it expire, and you're just scooping them up, and then you're putting stuff on it. Or this type of thing where you're going out and actively acquiring things for cheaply, which have good ranking in certain areas and stuff like that. So it is interesting because it comes across as like, oh, this is like a crazy idea, but then really it's like just an idea that lots of people are doing, but just not like people in our circles,
space,
right? Yeah, not on Twitter in our little zone of it. But I mean, I had a product at one point way back that was like a textbook selling product that was like this. Basically, we just have like every college textbook in the world and affiliate links and whatever. But yeah, this was like the late 90s or like 2000 or something like that. And but then like then Amazon just like totally took over everything directly.
Oh yeah,
and,
I've heard of Amazon. Yeah, you probably got crushed on that one.
So I mean, there's again still people out there doing that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just had better things to spend time on, so I was like, I forget it. But yeah, I could totally see having a little, if you're gonna have a content-based business, to like start with a domain that's already ranking, is definitely a big advantage. And so, and to have inbound links and things like that. So yeah, I like this idea. If I had more time, this would be the kind of thing I could see me doing, just like poking around, finding little businesses
And
or
you know who's a
apps.
semi-retired leisurely builder?
Who's
Josh
that?
Pigford.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I don't
so
know
he,
about leisurely though, but
yeah,
he's semi-retired,
yeah, that's
I
true.
guess.
He is not leisurely. He attacks everything with intensity,
He is
which,
always working,
I
it
kind
seems
of
like.
respect. I do like that.
Yeah,
I like that Josh is like always doing basically hobbies. He's like,
right.
all right, I'm gonna, fix up my house. Well, I should make a app to keep track of all the tools. It's like, hey
Yes, he's
man,
got the tool app.
that's
I'm like,
great. You do you. That's awesome. I'm happy
he
for you.
he does have that. The convergence of our theme of this episode kind of is like he is that consulting mindset to some degree, but also the founder mindset because he
Yeah, he
does like
is.
I'm building this thing and then he'll build it and ship it and then he won't like necessarily do anything with it after that a lot of times. So then it kind of falls off there, but he does sort of get pretty far into these things and like way
Oh
farther than I
yeah,
get. I usually get as
for
far as I bought the
sure.
domain and I'm like, okay, I got
Yes.
the domain set. And then I never write a line of code or do anything. He's like, no, I got a
Yes.
domain and I built a thing and it works. I may not ever
He's
talk about it again after that, but I
yeah.
built it and shipped it.
He's the triple threat of like he's actually a pretty good designer, he's a
Yeah,
pretty good developer, and he's a pretty good like follow through person, which you
right.
usually don't get all three of
Yeah.
those. But you're right, he does like finish an app and then he's like, all right, I gotta go on to the next app. And that's,
I get that
if
juice.
yeah, if that's what he wants to do is build, that's great. I like this content thing. I think my one hesitation with something like this is I kind of want all of my efforts pointing in the same general direction.
Hmm.
Um and I don't know that, so like if I were just to buy lawncareplanning.com, my like everything I've built so far adds nothing to lawn
Right.
care planning, and lawn care
Yep.
planning adds nothing to
Right.
everything that I've built. And so that would be my hesitation. I would much rather buy something that is like directionally aligned with the other stuff, but I do like the idea of buying something that somebody has neglected and kind of, juicing it up a little bit and seeing what happens. Seems kind of fun.
Yeah, and I mean it's hard. I mean I've never been very good with this either. Like once you have multiple products, just in general, multiple products is difficult for me anyway. And then in addition to that, like if you have multiple products that are not related, now you just have yeah, like your marketing, like there's no benefits, there's no
Yes.
co-marketing, there's no you're talking to this one group and that has cross benefits. Like there's no cross benefits to anything. You just have to have a whole separate marketing plan and be dealing with that entirely separately. And I don't tend to have enough brain bandwidth to deal with that, I have found. So yeah, I think in that way. But on the flip side, there are people who are totally comfortable with that and also comfortable with like, hey, like if this makes $500 a month, that's cool. And I'll just like collect this $500 a month and be very happy with it. To me, like the mental overhead of just dealing with it usually isn't worth things like that
Yeah,
because it's
I
like,
could see
well, it's going
that.
to go down and I'm going to have to be aware of it and I'm going to have to fix it and like whatever. Somebody's going to try to hack it. Like there's going to be all this stuff with it that's just a pain in the butt that I'm like, well, for this few $100 a month, just not worth the hassle. But yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of people out there, right, who have like, they have 20 of these and 50 of these or whatever. And it's like when
Crazy.
each of them does $500 a month, well, now
Now we're
that's actually
talking.
some real money.
Yeah.
So then you got something. So yeah, I don't know. And obviously you have one or two that hit maybe and get bigger. Yeah, it is an interesting model. I mean, the internet is a vast place and the number of people looking to buy stuff is bigger than you could possibly imagine. Like
It
that's the thing
is.
that people don't realize. It's
Yeah.
like when you really think about it, it's, like, it's huge and there's people out there trying to buy everything. And there are less competitive spaces. Like we're all in this like internet space of like business SaaS apps
Yeah.
and even content for developers. Like, these are pretty competitive
Tough
spaces.
spots to be in.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of people who are like, oh, that's a good idea. Lawn care in your area is a less competitive space. So that is interesting, those type of angles on the internet where like, can you get into a niche that's less competitive and float around in that zone of freedom is
Yeah,
pretty
I think
nice.
that I think the mini like the portfolio approach makes a lot more sense to me when it's not a portfolio of small SaaS applications. When it's a
Right.
portfolio of content properties, I can totally
Yeah.
get behind that.
We're
But
just
trying
floating.
to run even one SaaS app, it's like this is devastatingly brutal. And then you're like, wow, I'm just going to do 5 that all make $200 MRR. You're like, why? No. But the content portfolio, I'm like, yeah, set it up once, kick it off, and then you
Low
kind of
risk.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I knew you have a hard stop here, so I don't know if we want to stop there.
I got a few minutes. I want to talk content outside of our world for a second. I see you tweeting about Foundation. So first of all, I'm way behind because I'm editing screencasts, but I have started season 2. I'm like maybe 2 episodes into season 2. So this is Foundation on Apple TV. Great show. Based on a book by
Isaac Asimov.
Isaac Asimov, there you go. I didn't know. And season 1, awesome. Totally great. Season 2, the first 2 episodes, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Okay.
And so here's my take on Foundation as a whole. I want the show to be solely focused on the Empire. That's all I want to watch. I just want to watch the cool Empire that's like got all this technological advance. I don't want to talk about a library on an outer planet for half of every episode.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny.
Is this blasphemy? Tell me what I'm missing here.
Yeah, so I mean, so first of all, I feel exactly the opposite. Season 1, I like literally had to drag myself through it. Season 2, I don't love it until later. It gets better to me. Like episodes 8 and 9 are actually quite good. So I feel like it gets better later. So yeah, it's hard for me because I read the books and I read them recently for the first time, like
are they pretty good?
Year. Yeah, I mean, so Foundation is, I mean, it's called Foundation, but it is literally one of the foundational texts of science fiction, period. So, I mean, it has the Galactic Empire. Like, literally, that's what's in it. Star Wars has a galactic empire, right? These are like these themes. Asimov wrote a lot of books having to do with robotics and the 3 rules and all these things, and that is in here a little bit. And so if it comes to robots or space or galactic empires, like this is the foundational text.
Those are 3 things I love: robots, space, and galactic empires.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So this is huge thing, right? That's very, very well known in the science fiction circles. And the book, and so Asimov's thing is he's not necessarily like an amazing writer, but his ideas are very good.
Got it.
So I don't know. For me, the books are very odd. Like to turn them into a TV show would be very odd. So I see why they've done what they've done, because there's not even really characters in the traditional sense. Like you meet a character, they're there for a couple chapters, and then there's a huge time jump. And then they're gone. And so it's a lot of like, you're going over tens of thousands of years across these books. And the books are short. So you're like really jumping. So they've had to do some stuff to try to keep, like Harry Seldon in the books is in like the first couple chapters. He's never in it again. And they talk about him here and there throughout, but it's just sprinkled. He's not a character like through the whole books at all. So
is the Cleon thing in the books the everlasting like Empire guy?
No, not in the way. Really? There's not Dawn and Dusk.
Dusk and Day.
And Day, yeah. There's just one guy, and I don't think he even clones himself, if I recall.
What?
Yeah. So so that's the thing again. Like, well, how do we make this like?
Well, that's a clever
TV
device.
Show,
yeah,
right?
They did a good
job
there.
I think that is a good device. I don't like a lot of what they did, but I actually really like the Dawn, Dusk, and Day thing. I think that's actually a pretty cool take on that. So I guess I would have liked to have seen them make a show based more on the book, even though it would be very non-traditional. Like it would not at all be a normal TV show, and I see that being very difficult to pull off. But at the same time, I feel like that would be what would be interesting about it. We already have a million TV shows with like the character runs through the whole thing and the main characters are there for 5 seasons. Like, give me a TV show where the main characters are gone every like 3 or 4 episodes. Like, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool.
That would be so wild.
Set with a whole new thing, you know, a whole new world and stuff like that. Every 3 or 4 episodes. But so that's been very hard for me to overcome because it's like radically different from the books. It's not even just like, oh, they missed this scene I loved or whatever. It's like, it's totally different.
Fundamental structure change there, which is strange.
Really fundamental. I'll be curious to see what, like, when you finish the show or at some point, if you go back and read the books, I think it'd be interesting to see, like, from that angle of, like, show first and then coming back to the books and if it's too disjarring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of growing on me. There's not that much sci-fi stuff in general out there, right? So it's like you kind of have
Yeah.
to absorb what you're given. But so what's not jiving with you on the second season here?
Well, so far the first 2 episodes have been very Harry Seldon and Foundation focused, and they go to this
Right.
other planet, or I guess new characters, where there's like the Padawan and the old Foundation guy, and he's like the last
Oh,
person to see Harry
it's like
Seldon
the
alive.
priest.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's a little bit goofy, and his character's a little
Right.
bit silly, and I'm like, I just want Galactic Empire. Like, I'm a good guy. Listen, everybody, I'm a good guy. I'm team good guys, but I
Sure.
just want to watch the Galactic Empire
Right.
and the technology and the cloning. Like, that's what I want to watch, not,
Yeah.
oh, we're farmers tending to a library in outer space. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's this whole, I mean, the whole library in outer space, they've cut a lot of elements of that. So it is like, I feel like in the show, it's a little weird because they've kind of given you some stuff ahead that you shouldn't actually know yet. And then they've cut things of that storyline kind of. So there are places like that where I'm like, I'm confused a little bit. And I also wonder, like, if I didn't have the background, how would I even understand what's going on sometimes
Yeah.
with like the vault and
Yes,
all
that's
that
another
stuff,
thing is I
like-
just don't care. You haven't made me care
right.
about this vault. I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know what's
exactly.
happening here.
The vault is a humongous thing in the book and has some very interesting properties. And first of all, it works totally different in the show. And then also, yeah, I feel like they haven't really set that up for why you would care about the vault at the level like that maybe the characters
Yeah.
do. Whereas it's more clear in the books, like why people care about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's okay. I got through it. I mean, who knows now? It's going to be like with this writer's strike and everything. I don't know. It's going to be like 3 years
Oh,
before we
yeah.
get the next one. So then who knows, or if we ever get the next one.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of looking for. There's this big character in the books who's coming presumably in the next season. They've hinted at him. I won't totally spoil it.
Yeah, no
for people out
spoilers.
there. But I don't think you've seen him yet, probably. But so we'll see if he shows up and what they do with him. He's already very different from the books. You can see he's not going to be on the same trajectory, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, overall, it's okay. I'm desperate for some sci-fi. I feel like there hasn't been enough sci-fi. Most of these modern TV shows I don't really care for. I'm kind of interested in seeing Loki, the second season of Loki. I don't know if you're into Marvel stuff. Not a Marvel guy.
Not the TV shows. I'll see the movies in theaters, but I haven't watched any of the TV shows.
What about Ashoka? Are you on Ashoka?
Nope.
Okay.
I will see Star Wars movies in theaters, but I haven't seen any of those
You gotta
TV
watch
shows
Andor.
either.
Gotta watch
No.
Andor.
Never even
excellent.
heard of it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh no. Andor is excellent.
Sorry.
You gotta watch Andor. It's so good. It blows away Foundation. It's like 10 times better than Foundation. So yeah,
But I'm not a big Star Wars guy. Do I have to be a Star Wars
you don't
guy?
even need to be. No, there's no lightsabers. There's not one
Okay.
lightsaber in the whole thing. Whereas Ashoka, there's literally been the first like 3 episodes, no less than 20 lightsaber battles.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. It's so. I mean, that's why I think I tweeted this, but I'm like, they're making these shows for kids, but the only people who care about them are like 40 years old and older.
Yes.
Like kids, people who
It's-
grew up with
yeah.
Star Wars. Like I will buy every Star Wars thing you could throw at me, but like, give me something. It can't be like the whole plot is for like a 7-year-old. And I get that's kind of like the idea of the original Star Wars and George Lucas, blah, 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 fine. But like, we're all older now. We don't want like 20 lightsaber battles. Like I've seen a lightsaber. I got it.
It's
like,
cool. I understand.
It's cool, but I just get very distracted now by like, okay, it's 20 lightsaber battles. And in this lightsaber battle between a robot and a Jedi, like the Jedi never uses her powers. So like, okay, I'm just watching the 20th lightsaber battle, but she's not just like throwing this robot off the cliff like she could do in 2 seconds.
It's some fake struggle to make it
yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
it's just like, oh, it's so hard to watch. Whereas so Andor doesn't have any of that stuff. It's like basically its whole thing is it's super grounded in reality, reality of that universe, but it's not no lightsabers, none of that stuff. All humans doing humanly stuff. Yeah, some of the like, episode 10, I think it is. It's just one of the plain best episodes of TV I've ever seen. Period.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At all. So yeah, it's very good. So when you're there with the more babies and they're just crawling on you at like 4 in the morning, right? You just throw on Andor, a couple months from now. That can be
Okay.
just a little thing to get you through there.
We'll see. If I do, you will be the first to hear about
All
it.
right.
Before that,
go.
I'm going to finish Foundation.
Well, you should do that first. Yes,
Yeah.
I would get caught up. It's only 10 episodes. Now TV shows are short. It's like not that bad to at least get through the season. So yeah, we'll follow up because then we can have a proper spoiler segment on Foundation and the kind of wrap up there, since I just watched it too. So
perfect. Okay, good idea. All right. Well, you want to read us out?
Yes. So thanks everybody for listening. You can follow us at, you can find us at mostlytechnical.com. We're on the Twitters /X, which is a ridiculous thing to say, at mostlytechpod. And definitely email us at mostlytechnicalpodcast@gmail.com if you have any commentary or feedback on any of the stuff we talked about. So
all right.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.
Talk to you next week.
See you next week.